Hello my fair citizens, my name is Striderstone and I'm the Mayor of Sodium City, and today's video is my top 10 cards in the Witch's Pot Baldur's Cape, or whatever it is, that support land destruction the most. So let's just jump into it. Traverse the Outlands is going to be a sleeper card, and that's kind of why I'm putting it in number 10. Now, we have to play this with the 11/11 Titan for 4 mana, so that when we play it for 5 mana, we get 11 lands out of the library. Now, this is going to set us up perfectly, absolutely perfectly, for Waking the Trolls. We can actually cast 2 of them the next turn, or maybe like 1 Bombardment and 1 Waking the Trolls, or maybe a Star of Extinction and a Waking the Trolls, or whatever we want to do. But the most important thing to do is Waking the... Oh my god, Waking the Trolls. It's going to be so good, because we're going to have like 14, 15, 16 lands that they're going to go down to like 4, 5, 6. We're going to get 10 Trolls. Basically, just make sure they're alive by the time you can swing, or give them haste somehow. I don't know. It should be fun. I'm really excited about it. Now, Uthgardt's... How do you even say that? The thing that starts with the U, ends with the T, the Fury. It's going to come in at number 9, mainly because I can't pronounce it, but I also don't know exactly if I can build around it. Now, it does enable a whole lot when it comes to mono red control. The fact that you can play this on turn 3 and then do a 3 damage board wipe, another 3 damage board wipe the next turn. You don't necessarily have to have the 3 damage board wipes, 2 in your hand, and be able to cast them at the same time. That is really where mono red sucks, is it's in its board wipe capabilities or lack thereof. You don't really have any options outside of Star of Extinction. You can't get that until you have 7 mana, and it's really not anything you can rely on. So for the most part, mono red really fucking sucks when it comes to that. So this should actually help quite a bit more. That, and it does 4 damage when it comes into play. 4 damage is nothing to scoff at. You can poke apart a Planeswalker. Early game, you can hit those 1/4 mono white things that gain a shit ton of life. You can hit the 2/4 angel doodads that everyone hates too. There's a lot of things you can pick apart with this. Obviously, you can go face. Keeping that in mind, we can dust off the old Dance the Mance combo, where we're bringing back Fires of Emancipation and all the other enchantments that actually do damage to face. And that could be really funny. We may do that too. Clocking in at number 8 is going to be Neera Wild Mage. What is with the weird ass? I guess you can't always just have like Greg or Chad. I don't know, whatever. But Neera, what the hell kind of... Anyway. So this is going to be a really interesting card to build around. I think we can pair this with something like Assemble from Parts, just to really get it onto the battlefield much easier and much cheaper. And then we're at that point, we're just going to throw in a bunch of expensive land destruction cards and then just absolutely demolish people. So being able to cast something and then just throw it at the bottom, like if we're just going to cast another Assemble from Parts, or just do like an Opt, something that's just a whatever card that we don't really care about, just throw that at the bottom and then have some really expensive cards that we super care about. Unfortunately, we don't have Brainstorm anymore, so we can't stack the deck that much. We'd have to scry down quite a bit. Somehow scry 3, the only way that can really scry 3 reliably is going to be Battle of Frost and Fire, I think, that one enchantment. But after you scry 3, if you wait 1 more turn, you have to draw 2, discard 1. So you have essentially 1 turn to do that for the scry 3. I don't know if you really want to do that, because putting those 2 cards together, I mean, it's not the worst idea, but I don't really know if you actually want to do that. But who knows? Do whatever you want to do. I don't exactly know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm definitely going to be messing around with it, because I think Neera has some really cool features. Now, Gale, Conduit of Arcane is coming in at number 7. The specialized mechanic might be a little bit weird, since I'm not exactly sure how it will work yet, but I will definitely use this with land destruction. So turning this into the black version is really nice, because we get to drain the opponent every time we blow up one of their lands, or turning it into the blue one allows us to loot every single time we draw a card. Now, I'm also not sure is after you transform it, if that new card, or after you specialize it, if that card still has specialized and you can specialize it to something else. Again, I'm not exactly sure how that mechanic works, but if we can abuse it, I will definitely do it with land destruction. Now, Wyll pact-bound duelist is going to be my 6th most hyped up card for land destruction in this set. Now again, I'm not exactly sure how the specialized mechanic works yet, but if it works the way I think it will work, there will be some crazy decks with this card on the channel. So make sure you attack that sub button in order to not miss any of them whatsoever. Now, the black version of this card will allow us to draw more land destruction cards unless they take 5 damage or lose 5 life, which is not an easy choice, but allowing us to draw 3 cards is devastating. More so, I'm looking forward to using the blue version so that I can return spells back to my hand from the graveyard. Spell recursion has always been a really fun mechanic for me. I think it's because it's really, really annoying for most people. Playing a spell once is annoying. Playing a spell twice is pretty annoying. 3 times is like, okay, you're lucky. 4 times is like, how many do you have in your deck? But when you're recurring it every single time, they know that you have another one. So it's like a slow torture thing, especially if it's a land destruction card. They're like, again? Seriously? Are you kidding me? And that's the type of emotion that we want to invoke on our opponents. I think this card will help. Coming in at number 5 is Fiendlash. Now this card is basically just Brash Taunter on a stick, so all you need to do is to have something wielding that stick. So in this case, we're just going to use something like Strict Proctor because there's so many life gain decks out there and end of the battlefield decks out there. Strict Proctor is really just icing on the cake, really just helps out any deck. But we can also just use Brash Taunter since mono red control seems to be relatively easy to run right now. So Brash Taunter, indestructible, you just attach Fiendlash to it, and then it has double of that ability of whenever you do damage to it, you can deal damage to the opponent. So if you do 2 damage to Brash Taunter, when it has Fiendlash on it, it's going to do 4 damage to the opponent. And then it just gets kind of crazy from there. And it just do a bunch of burn spells, do a bunch of board wipes, whatever you want to do. And of course, we're going to be using Starve Extinction with this. That's the tried and true. But obviously, I also want to try out some other things. There's not really anything in the new set that does much outside of just allowing us to go mono red control. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Snowborn Simulacrum is number 4, but it could easily go higher on this list. But to be fair, most of the top 5 could really be at number 1. This one is just going to be really interesting. Now, I want to try this deck with some enchantment decks, some other heavy enchantment decks, the ones that just ramp out of control, things like Mirari's Wake, or whatever other bajillion enchantment things that make mana go all crazy. But then we're going to want to put this on Haphazard Bombardment, as well as things like Waking the Trolls. So being able to copy Haphazard Bombardment has always been good. Waking the Trolls is probably better. The thing with Waking the Trolls is that it's only on the battlefield for 3 turns, so if you can't copy it in that amount of time, you're kind of screwed, and that's why I say using Haphazard Bombardment is probably going to be more reliable at the very least. But the fact that you can also target the opponent's stuff if they have a good artifact or whatever, they have a good land, for whatever reason you want one of their lands, they have planeswalkers, you can do all of that stuff, and it's really, really cool. Signature Spells, very interesting card. This is going to come in at number 3. Now, I would love to put this higher, but there just isn't that many good 3-mana land destruction cards in the game. We have like Stone Rain, Cleansing Wildfire, and Geomancer's Gambit. Now, Geomancer's Gambit and Cleansing Wildfire can allow you to ramp if you have an indestructible land on the battlefield, but at that point, it's almost useless to do anything because in order to even get signature spells on the battlefield, you need to have 6 mana. So you don't necessarily need to ramp all that much after that. It's nice to have the cantrips, the constant cantrips, by always being able to draw a card every turn. It's like drawing a second card every turn. But at that point, for 6 mana, drawing an extra card every turn, thinning out your deck, I guess, is also that upside. But you might as well just run something like Immortal Sun, right? So I'm not exactly sure where this card is going to fit in as far as the best thing for land destruction, but it could have a little niche here and there. I just have to find it. I don't know where it's at yet. Now for this next one, I'm a little worried that it won't work nearly as well as I want it to. But number 2 is going to be Displacer Kitten. Now, the obvious things to put with this card is going to be Torrential Gearhulk and Waking the Trolls. Now, obviously, with Torrential Gearhulk, you can blink Waking the Trolls every single time. However, you have to find a way to blink Torrential Gearhulk every single time as well. So you have to like cast a spell from your graveyard to blink your Torrential Gearhulk, which allows you to cast a spell from your graveyard. So somewhere in there, you have to be able to cast a spell that either copies something, or cast a spell that copies Awakening the Trolls, or cast something that copies the Torrential Gearhulk, or something like a Panharmonicon will allow you to double all triggers when it enters the battlefield. There's the few things that you can do with that, but it just seems so far-fetched, and the fact that it's a 4 mana for 2/2 just makes me think that I want it to be a lot better than I think it is, but I don't know if it's bad yet. I want it to be good, I just don't know if it's good. I don't know if that makes sense. Now, obviously, we would have to have the instant speed land destruction cards like Bedazzle and that red mana smashing success. I think those are the only 2 that I can actually think of. But those are the only 2 that we would be able to have with Torrential Gearhulk out. Granted, I think that Bedazzle is a legitimately good card, personally. I don't think anyone agrees with that, but I think it's a good card. So take that for what it is. And of course, the card that I'm most excited for is Storm King's Thunder. Now, this is naturally going to be used with land destruction, maybe some mill cards, maybe some draw cards. This is going to be used with a whole bunch of things. I'm really, really excited for this card. I think it's going to be absolutely crazy that you can copy X copies of cards. So we have to use this with Fires of Invention, because Fires of Invention, all your lands that you have are always going to be untapped. So you can tap all of them with the X equals however many lands you have, because you're completely tapping out, and then you cast the card that you actually want to copy, with the Fires being free. So you get 2 cards for free with Fires. You manually do 1, and the other one is free. You just get to copy it like a bajillion times. It doesn't even matter. It's a really, really, really good idea, I think. It should be fun. I'm really excited to brew around it. Regardless, that is the number 1. That wraps it up for this list, so don't forget to tap that like button, attack that sub button before you go. But let me know if you have any cards that you're excited to brew around in the comment section below, or if you have any cards that you want to see me brew with, let me know that too. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it to this point, it means you either really enjoyed the video or you fell asleep and I'm waking you up now. Either way, thank you for all the support. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, come out with videos 7 days a week.